Hey guys, I filmed a full post-June 1st trade and free agent targets video, which is coming up next here on Bears Now by Chat Sports. The first guy we talked about was Bryce Huff, and Adam Schefter reported earlier today, along with others, that the Eagles and the 49ers are finalizing a trade to send him to San Francisco. Now, it's not official. It won't be official until June 2nd based on the contract, which is the purpose of this video. But rather than doing a whole new video, because I got other content to do and other things to take care of, just wanted to add this on the front end. First guy we talk about is Bryce Huff, so if you want to skip past him, since it's a 0.00001% chance he's not going to be a Bear, or that he is going to be a Bear, go ahead and skip to the second guy. We talked about 4 other players as well, but coming up next, post-June 1 players that the Bears could conceivably target if they get cut due to their contract or become more tradable by their current teams. This is Chicago Bears Now. My name is Harrison Graham, and on today's show, we're going to take a look at some post-June 1st targets. And certain guys around the league, based on the way their contracts are structured, become more cuttable or tradable after June 1st. Like, there's a pre-June 1st dead cap penalty and a post-June 1st. So, for example, a guy could, if you cut him pre-June 1st, you might only save $2 million, but post-June 1st, you might save $8 million. So there's not typically a ton of movement post-June 1, but you typically see a few moves across the league that could take place. So we are going to examine 5 players that I do think could spring loose based on their contract status and on some reporting that's out there. Let's first talk about a guy who was a free agent last year that we talked about a little bit here on this show. That is Bryce Huff, the edge rusher with the Philadelphia Eagles. There's actually some reporting here, so I want to get to that first. Jeff McClain of the Philadelphia Inquirer, he's covered the Eagles for a long time. He said, Bryce Huff wasn't at practice, talking about OTAs there. He said, in fact, the defensive end hasn't attended Eagles workouts this entire spring. An NFL source said that doesn't necessarily come as a huge surprise since he's unlikely to be part of the Eagles' plans for 2025. The Eagles don't want him getting injured in case they can still unload him after June 1st, which it would make more fiscal sense. When it would make more fiscal sense. Can the Eagles trade him? Probably not with that price tag. Maybe they eat a large portion of his salary just to cut bait. Now, from a cap hit standpoint, let's just say Bears trade for Bryce Huff on June 2nd. It's only $4.28 million for the Bears. Now, to the point McClain saying with that salary, the Bears do not want to absorb Huff. I think he's owed like $16 million this year. I think they would look at the Eagles and say, eat 12 of that. Like, if you eat 12 of that, we'll take the small cap hit that we would absorb given his contract setup, and we'll throw you guys, 6th, 7th round pick. Something like that. Kind of something where the Eagles can unload him, at least get a little something for him, cut bait, and the Bears add a talented pass rusher coming off a disappointing year. A couple years ago with the Jets, and even in the year before that, he didn't have a ton of sacks, but his pressure rate was just fantastic. I mean, his PFF pass rush grade in 2023 was among the best in the NFL. And then last year, the Eagles give him a healthy contract, and the grade's okay, but the production wasn't there. I don't think it was a scheme fit with Vic Fangio. Whatever the problem was, he did not fit in as well there as he did with the New York Jets. I think in a perfect role, he's a number 3 edge rusher. So, hypothetically, if the Bears brought him in, if Adengbo, elevates his game and becomes that second starter opposite of Montez Sweat, which they're expecting him to be, Huff is a number 3 guy. It is pretty intriguing, right? Because you could go Montez Sweat, Dio Adengbo, Bryce Huff, Austin Booker. Like, I think that's a pretty decent core 4 for this front 4. I'm more interested if he gets cut because the Eagles have kind of made it clear he's not a part of their plan. So, why would you give them a pick? Now, the reason teams do that sometimes is because, if he becomes a free agent, then it's open season. He can negotiate and sign with any team, whereas if you throw Philly a 6th, 7th round pick, then you get him, and you don't have to deal with what other teams might be willing to do to get him if he becomes available via cut. So keep an eye on that one. Sounds like Philly's going to move on. I'm not sure how the Bears view him in terms of scheme fit, but he's not that far removed from being a pretty damn effective pass rusher. Okay, Antonio Gibson with the New England Patriots, a guy I've always liked because he can thump a little bit and he catches the ball pretty well. I didn't even realize this. He was pretty solid last year for New England. I mean, over almost 750 all-purpose yards on less than 150 touches. That's pretty good. He was well over 4 yards per carry there behind a bad offensive line. He had over 200 receiving yards, which is a little down for his career, but again, that team was kind of a mess. And now the Patriots have Trey Hendrickson to go with Ramondre Stevenson. So to me, Antonio Gibson is an RB3. Like, obviously, he'd be a great RB3 for New England, but I think he's RB2 worthy in this league. I think his role gets pretty diminished now because I would expect Trey Hendrickson, a guy they took in the second round, to be pretty involved. I mean, he's going to play a lot. Stevenson signed a contract last year. He's obviously going to play a lot. Whereas the Bears, we know DeAndre Swift is, but who's that number 2 guy? That's still the question. And, you know, Stevenson or Gibson can give you a little more in between the tackles ability while also being a pretty solid and productive pass catcher in his career. So I think he's a sneaky player that could get cut, or you could get for very cheap, like 6th, 7th round pick. He only costs a couple $1,000,000. So definitely an under-the-radar back that could be available before week 1. All right, pin comment on this show. What's the bigger Bears roster need? Is it edge or is it running back? Go reply to the pin comment and give us your thoughts. Okay, Kendre Miller, a player I'm very familiar with, played at my alma mater, TCU, had a huge final season there. And it is just not worked in New Orleans. Now, I think that's primarily due to injury, but there's been some reported clashing there with coaches as well, which surprised me because you never heard any of that back in his college days. So maybe it's just a bad fit. Who knows? But I do think it has started with the injuries. He's had numerous soft tissue issues, which dates back to the college football playoff. He got dinged up in the TCU semifinal win over Michigan, didn't play in the Natty, and it seemed like he just was never right his rookie year. Then he got hurt again last year. But he's a talented back. He catches the ball well. He's good downhill, patient runner. Kind of reminded me of Lev Bell coming out of college. He really lets blocks develop, but we just haven't seen him play much in the NFL. Now, something of note, which would probably rule out the Bears, is who was the Saints head coach? Dennis Allen. And there were reports throughout the last 2 years when Miller's been there that him and Dennis Allen did not see eye to eye. Now, Dennis Allen's not the head coach here. It's not his call, but you would think if the Bears are doing research on potential running backs they could acquire, that they would ask Dennis Allen about Kendre Miller. And if Dennis Allen, if those reports are accurate, that, yeah, you know, I didn't view him as a hard worker, whatever the case is, my gut just tells me, well, it's not like Miller's shown a ton in the NFL. If Dennis Allen doesn't put in a good word, then they probably would go elsewhere. That would be my thought. But talented young player who hasn't really had that big opportunity yet, I still think he's got big-time potential. All right, get yourself a Caleb Williams jersey today at chatsports.com/Caleb jersey. That link is in the comments and the description of this video, chatsports.com/Caleb jersey. All right, Logan Wilson next up here. I know some people are still curious about linebackers, so am I. This, along with the Bryce Huff one, there's been reporting on this throughout the offseason. But from the Bears standpoint, that third LB spot is still up in the air. You got TJ Edwards. You got Tremaine Edmonds. Is it going to be Ruben Hippolyte? Is it going to be Eamon Ogbongbemiga? Is it going to be Noah Sewell? Sounds like Hippolyte and Sewell have been getting a lot of reps there to be that third guy. Tremaine was a little nicked up this week at OTA, so they were getting some looks at middle linebacker as well. But if you're uncomfortable with those two young players, if one of them has to be your third guy, maybe you would sign a veteran. And there's been reports throughout the offseason that the Bengals could cut Wilson. Didn't have his best year last year. It saves almost $6 million if they were to cut him. He does have 4 straight years of 100 tackles. Just looking at his numbers here, historically he's been pretty good in coverage, although he wasn't as good in that area last year. Just 29 years old is how old he'll be this season. He turns 29 in July, so not like he's a super old player. So experience, 5-year starter for Cincinnati, 4-year starter for Cincinnati, 5-year player. If he's your third guy, if he needs to start full-time if there's injury, cool. If he's your part-time starter, Sam linebacker role, I think he could handle that as well. Okay, one more player to come. Subscribe to the channel for Bears content all year long. Hit that sub button, turn on notifications. Don't miss out. All right, we will throw Trey Hendrickson in here. The Bengals do save $16 million post June 1 if they cut him. So that, or if they trade him, they obviously wouldn't cut him. So that's notable to include him here. From a Bears standpoint, it's all the reasons we've mentioned off and on over the last couple months. All-in move, big-time pass rusher. Could he be the piece that gets your defense over the top? Do you believe in Caleb enough to make a move like this? If you feel like this team is ready to win in this kind of window you've got here. So, nothing new in terms of why the Bears would be interested. But if Cincinnati does move on, they do save $16 million as a post-June 1st trade with Trey Hendrickson. Should the Bears go all in on Trey Hendrickson? What say you? Type Y for yes, or you can type in for no. Again, I'm open to it. Assuming the extension you would have to give him is not outrageous. Like if it's in the low, even mid-30s on a 2-3 year extension, I'm willing to do that. Now, am I willing to pay him Myles Garrett money? No, but I don't think any team is going to do that. So I would be open to it. I don't think you have to do it. You could certainly see how you look early on in the season, maybe make a splash at the deadline if you're looking for that big-time piece to put you over the top. But if they went for it, can't really argue with it. Like it's kind of hard to argue with teams that take swings and try to swing big and go chase a Super Bowl. All right, appreciate everybody who has tuned in to today's show and to all of our shows here on Bears Now. If you hit the subscribe button, go to the content tab, you'll find all of our other videos as well. So be sure to check that out. We'll see you next time. Bear down.